Chapter 1 of the United Nations Charter lays out the purposes and principles of the United Nations organization. These principles include the equality and self-determination of nations, respect of human rights and fundamental freedoms, and the obligation of member countries to obey the Charter, to cooperate with the UN Security Council, and to use peaceful means to resolve conflicts. These purposes and principles reflect a premise that the effectiveness of the United Nations would be enhanced with broad guidelines to guide the actions of its organizations and member states. However, some members were concerned that these proposals granted what they considered overly broad discretionary powers for the organs of the United Nations in the Dumbarton Oaks Conference. Proposals and the adopted purposes and principles have been seen as reflecting the compromise achieved. Article on Purposes of the United Nations. The adopted purposes of the United Nations reflect a premise that the effect of the Dumbarton Oaks proposals. Article 2. Clauses 3 to 4 essentially prohibit war, except in self-defense, by stating, all members shall settle their international disputes by peaceful means in such a manner that international peace and security and justice are not endangered. All members shall refrain in their international relations from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes of the United Nations. Quote, the right to self-defense is reaffirmed in Article 51, which states, nothing in the present Charter shall impair the inherent right of individual or collective self-defense if an armed attack occurs against a member of the United Nations. Quote, Article 2, Clause 7 of this chapter re-emphasizes the fact that only the UN Security Council has the power to force any country to do anything by stating that nothing contained in the present Charter shall authorize the United Nations to intervene in matters which are essentially within the domestic jurisdiction of any state, or shall require the members to submit such matters to settlement under the present Charter. But this principle shall not prejudice the application of enforcement measures under Chapter 7. Quote, only the Security Council can institute Chapter 7 enforcement measures. See also, Crime of Aggression, Universal Jurisdiction, Kellogg-Briand Pact.